Hi everyone, I'm Leah Lavero and this is the Homeschooling Well Facebook page. Thanks for watching today. Today I want to talk about continuing our educations as moms. And I don't know about you, but I have some kids in middle school who are approaching high school very, very quickly. And I want to make sure that I'm still going to have the ability to teach them well as they get older. And for me, that means, and I think for all of us, that means continuing with our education and learning to be lifelong learners ourselves. We talk so much in homeschooling about raising lifelong learners and making sure that our kids um, continue to educate themselves into adulthood. But I'm not sure we stop to think that, hey, we're in adulthood and are we still educating ourselves? So I'm not talking about getting an advanced degree here. Some of you have one or more advanced degrees already. That's not what we're talking about today. I'm just talking about continuing to educate yourself from the comfort of your own home in areas that are interesting to you or important to your family or to the world at large or your worldview as a Christian. So just follow along today. If you have the notes that were posted on the Facebook page, you can just follow along. So I wanted to talk about teaching these kids as they get older. And a lot of us are very nervous about that. Even if you have a kindergartner right now, you might not have kids approaching anywhere near middle school and high school, but it's on your mind. It's in the back of your mind because I hear it from moms all the time. And they're always looking towards the future and saying, okay, everything's fine for now, but what's going to happen in the future? How am I going to do this the whole way through? And really what you're going to do is every single year you're just going to move forward a little bit and move forward a little bit in your knowledge and understanding of homeschooling, and it's going to be fine. But we do have to do a couple things in our own personal lives to make sure that we are going to be able to handle those years. So the main thing that we need to do is raise our reading levels back up to where they used to be. And maybe you're an avid reader, so maybe this isn't you, but for a lot of us, when we finish school, we stop reading. And maybe we pick up a book here or there a couple times a year. And usually they're lighter books or they're novels or they're airport fiction or something like that. And definitely the Bible. But the average American reads on a fourth grade reading level. That's what newspapers or online information is printed at or digitally printed at right now currently is the fourth grade reading level. So that's saying a lot. Where we were in our, even if we went through high school and didn't go to college, even if you stopped reading when you were in 12th grade, you were probably reading at a higher reading level than you are now if you haven't kept up with it. So one of the main things that we need to do is get that reading level back up if we want to have confidence in teaching our kids, because their reading level is rising every single year. So we want to make sure that ours aren't falling every single year. So we want to keep up with them at the very least. So the way that I look at it is that when I'm thinking about high school subjects, I know that I know nothing about high school chemistry. When I took chemistry in high school in 11th grade, I didn't know anything about it then either. I got a C, and that was a very low grade for me. That was a horrible year for me, is the chemistry year in 11th grade. But I'm not worried that I don't know anything about chemistry, because I'm not planning on teaching my child chemistry. He's going to have his own textbook and maybe an online tutor or a local co-op or something like that that he can go to. And I'm only worried that if he needs help, I'll be able to read and comprehend what's written in the book that he's learning from. So that's where the reading level comes into play. I'm mainly concerned that I'm going to have the ability to read and comprehend what's in his textbook so that I can help him answer the question that he has. I'm not concerned with having the information myself and knowing anything about chemistry. So I just want to make sure that I have that basic ability to just read and comprehend and be able to explain something to him. My oldest is a boy, and then I have some girls. So I keep saying him, but I'm just thinking of my oldest right now. The other thing that we want to make sure that we stay on top of is what's going on in the world. because our kids, as they get older and they become teenagers and beyond, they're really concerned with what's going on in the world, and they're going to have questions. So I wrote on the sheet, big kids have big questions. And we want to be able to be people, moms, parents, that they can come to with their questions and have some sort of answer for them, or at least our opinions based on the Bible or our knowledge, our worldview of what a good answer to their question would be, about what's going on in the culture, maybe what's going on in politics. Just being able to stay abreast of what's going on in the world is going to keep us relevant to our children, and they're going to be able to come to us for advice and come to us with their questions and get some answers. So knowing what our worldview is, knowing what's going on in the world currently and how the two mesh, and being able to have a response to our children is very, very important. So staying on top of that as a homeschool mom, because we are the person that they come to for everything. Hopefully that's the kind of relationship that we're naturally developing by homeschooling. So making sure that when they do come to us, we have some sort of response is very important. The next thing, and it goes hand in hand, is when we have adult children. We're always saying that we're raising our kids, we're raising our kids, we're raising our children. And I like to think of it more as we're raising adults. So we have to think that we're going to have a relationship with our adult children significantly longer than our children, than our children when they're children and living under our roof. So we're going to have decades and decades with our adult children, if we're fortunate. And we're going to want to have a relationship where you can think about what kind of relationship you want to have with your children into adulthood. And part of that is going to be what we were just talking about, what I was just saying, is being able to stay relevant, understand what our worldview is, so that they can still come to us for wisdom and for advice and for knowledge and for answers to their question. I really, really want to be someone that my adult daughters can come to when they need advice on parenting, and they need advice in their marriages, and they need advice in homemaking, or having a career and balancing a career, whatever they're going to need advice on. I want to be the person that they come to. And we are Charlotte Mason homeschoolers here in our home. And one thing that Charlotte Mason, who was a Victorian educator, talked about was about moms not continuing their education being a problem because they're no longer relevant to their children. And they use themselves up. We know this is true. We're probably partially guilty of doing this already, so let's catch ourselves. But we use ourselves up in raising our babies and our children, so that by the time they're out of our home, we're just a shell, a husk of who we used to be. And we're no longer relevant. We're not even people that our children would be able to look to for advice. They're not looking, not all adult children are looking up to their mothers and thinking that there's someone they would even want advice from, or want a serious relationship with, because they've just used themselves up completely, and given everything that they had to their children when they were raising them in their homes. So I personally, and you would have to think about this for yourself, but I want to still stay relevant in my children's lives, and I want to be the person that they come to for help and guidance, and I want to be able to talk to them about the bigger ideas that are going on in the world and how they relate to my faith and our Christian worldview. So staying on top of my own education, staying informed, and being able to appear to be someone that is educated enough that my children can rely on for information is a goal of mine, and you'll have to think about that for yourselves. But the third thing that I wanted to talk about is how on earth and in what ways we can continue our education. So if you want to get a jump on those middle school and high school teaching years and stay relevant for your adult children, how are you going to do it? So I talked a lot about reading already, and reading is the key. That's going to be the foundation for how we can continue our own education. So back to Charlotte Mason again. That's who I've gotten a lot of these ideas from. She recommended that everyone, all mothers, have a stack of 3 books that they're working on at all times. So you would have a light reading book, like a novel, and then you would have a slightly harder, more difficult reading book, and then you would have a challenging reading book. So something that's really far beyond what you think your reading level is, but it's challenging you to grow and figure out larger ideas for yourself. So you would always have 3 books going at all times. So the light novel, and then the medium sort of challenging book, I would say like an educational philosophy book or a homeschool book, and then your challenging book, maybe a classic that you have read before that you want to reread because you didn't really understand anything when you were 16 years old. That was, The Grapes of Wrath or something. I don't think I got most of that in my brain when I read it before. It's on my shelf. I keep thinking I'm going to get to it, and I haven't gotten to it yet. But something like that, something that's like a classic that's a challenge to you. The other thing that's available to us that's amazing in this digital age are online courses. So anything under the sun that you want to learn about or you need help with is available in some form of online course. And there's a lot of homeschooling courses. If you want to learn more about a particular homeschool philosophy, you can Google that. You can take a course on it. If you want to have better homemaking skills, if you want to get more organized, if you want to learn how to menu plan better or something, there's all kinds of online courses, videos on YouTube that you can Google and find, and you can educate yourself to become better at those things, more skilled. If you want to learn how to knit, if you want to do anything, you can teach yourself online, and that's just a really easy way to continue your education from the comfort of your own home. And most of those are free, but you can pay small fees for certain courses and learn a whole lot, and they're extremely valuable. I've taken many courses in that way, and I just absolutely love them. The other thing that you can do is in-person training. So I don't know where everybody lives, but in our homeschool community here in my real life tribe, we have moms professional development workshops that we get together and talk about these kind of topics together. If those are available to you where you live, jump on them. There's community involved, and there's learning and growing together. It's just amazing way to be with other moms. So you can do that. Retreats are another way that you can do that. There are all kinds of retreats and conferences. There's homeschool conferences. There's all kinds of, I could list all of the conferences. I don't know if people are interested in. There's writing conferences, and there's business conferences, and there's even like home organization conferences and conventions. There's homeschool conventions, and those all include meeting people and networking and community as well as education, and they're wonderful to go to. They didn't even cross my mind for a long time, but they're very appealing to me now. And then another thing that you can do is take courses at your local community college. A lot of times that doesn't even enter our minds, and you're saying you might not have time for it, and that makes sense. But if you do have time and there's something that you're really interested in that maybe bugs you, that you don't know how to do very well, like cooking, maybe it's a problem for your family, that cooking is a struggle for you, you can take a class at your local community college and educate yourself in that way. So how do you fit any of this in? If any of this sounds like something that you need in your life, where the heck are you going to put it? How are you going to fit it in? So we talked about 2 Facebook Lives ago, we talked about mom's quiet time in the morning or mom's quiet time in the evening. And the way that I fit in reading my stack of 3 books is during that same quiet time. So everything is just put together in one chunk during the day, where I have my prayer and my Bible study. I have a little bit of gratitude journaling, and I also set a timer on my phone for 30 minutes and read from my stack of books that I'm working on. So another thing that Charlotte Mason talked about was choosing the book. You have your little stack, and you choose the book that you're fit for that day. So if I don't really want to get too deep into homeschool philosophy, I might read that for 10 minutes or not read that at all. I won't read it for the whole entire 30 minutes. If I really just want to read my super fun, light book, I just finished an amazing fiction book very recently, and I hardly ever read fiction, but I loved it so much that I started another fiction book um, that I'm struggling with a little bit more because I don't love fiction that much. But I read that book for my 30-minute chunk every single day till it was done, and I gobbled that thing up. It was amazing, super fun. But you just pick what you're in the mood for basically that day in your little 30-minute time. If you do not have 30 minutes, try 10 minutes, try 20 minutes, whatever you have. You're going to build up your reading level. I was such an avid reader when I was younger, and that's something that I lost of myself when I started. I remember still reading when I had babies, but somewhere along the line, I lost my ability to think about reading and fit it into the day or something. And I stopped reading. It was so wonderful to go back to reading again a couple years ago, but I did find that my reading level had slipped, and that things that I thought I was just going to pick up and run with were a little bit, the reading was a little bit slower than I thought it was going to be. So just be aware of that your reading is a muscle, your ability to read, and your reading comprehension and your reading speed is a muscle that you're going to have to build up again. And maybe if you read for 10 minutes a day, it's going to go a little slow, but you're going to build up that muscle and you're going to be able to read more each time that you sit down to read. And it's not going to be as much of a slog as it might be in the beginning. But basically you're going to get ideas back into your mind. I didn't have a lot of ideas anymore. I was really bogged down in housework and raising babies, and then the beginning years of homeschooling, and I didn't have a lot of outside thought. I wasn't thinking about things deeply. I had just completely lost that part of my life, and it's been really wonderful for the last couple of years to have that back, and to feel like more of a whole person again, and less of just a mom and a homeschool mom. And to remember that other people have other opinions and ideas when you start really looking into current events and what's going on in the world today and how does that line up with your worldview. That's been really interesting and exciting for me as well. And I hope that it is for you also. So I hope that you got something out of this today. Maybe just a little bit of encouragement that you might be able to teach the older years if you work on it now little bit by little bit. It won't be so overwhelming to you in the future. I hope you take that takeaway, or think about what kind of, if nothing else, think about what kind of relationship you want to have with your adult children that you're going to have for years and years to come in the future, and what kind of a mom you want to be to them, and what kind of the way that you want them to view you. So I hope that helps you. I hope that you got something from that and that you are encouraged. I'm going to be back next week talking about working on our relationships during this time of homeschooling and making sure that we don't lose our relationships while we're so busy and bogged down in these years. So have a great day, have a great week, have a good time homeschooling, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.